welcome to the premiere episode of the Brooklynite TV Podcast. I'm your host, Frank, a true Brooklynite, having lived in Brooklyn for my entire life, over 50 years. And I'm here to talk about all things Brooklyn, and today particularly take a deep dive into the swirling chaos that's been getting under my skin lately. If you've been anywhere near Brooklyn or keeping an ear to the ground on politics, you know things have been anything but calm. So buckle up, because we're not just scratching the surface, we're tearing into the heart of what's bothering me, and believe me, it's a lot. So let's start with Brooklyn. This borough has always been a place of raw energy, a melting pot of cultures and ideas. It's a place where you could find everything from the most artisan avocado toast to the grit of a late-night subway ride. But recently, that vibrant, dynamic spirit seems to be under attack. The streets are buzzing with discontent, and it feels like every neighborhood is grappling with some sort of form of delusion. Okay, it's a hot topic, and for good reason. It's transforming the borough I love in ways that are hard to ignore. There's a line in Brooklyn that's becoming increasingly blurred between the hipster enclaves and the communities that have been here for generations. The rising cost of living is pushing long-term residents out and replacing their homes with luxury condos and a whole bunch of crazy immigrant housing facilities. Okay, it's frustrating to see how the soul of Brooklyn is being condemned, with the local character being sacrificed at the altar of development. And don't even get me started with local politics. It seems like every day there's a new headline about a scandal or a policy proposal that's just missed the mark. Our elected officials are supposed to be representing the people, but more often than not, they're out of touch with reality and what's really going on the ground. Okay? Campaign promises are made with a lot of fanfare. When it comes to actual change, we're left with half-hearted measures and lofty rhetoric. Let's take the latest push for affordable housing. It's a classic case of political theater. They're talking a big game about creating more affordable units, but the reality is the solutions that proposed are either too slow or too limited. Meanwhile, the rent keeps climbing, and the folks who make Brooklyn what it is, the teachers, the artists, the small businesses, the small business owners, are being squeezed out. It's a fucking mess, and it's one that's getting a lot messier. Okay, then there's a public safety issue. We're seeing more and more reports of crime. The streets are not safe, and the fare is palatable. People want to feel safe in their own neighborhoods, but the response from the city has been lackluster at best. More policing isn't always the answer, and yet it often feels like that's the only solution on the table. We need smart, community-focused solutions, not just a show of force. Let's also talk about the education system. The schools in Brooklyn should be a beacon of hope and opportunity, but they're underfunded and overstretched. Teachers are doing their best, but they're working with outdated resources and facing increasing challenging conditions. The kids who should be getting a top-notch education are instead navigating a system that's struggling to keep up with the times. And before I forget, the state of the public transportation. The MTA is a lifeline for many Brooklynites, but it's also a source of constant headaches and frustration. Delays, overcrowded trains, and a lack of maintenance have become the norm. The infrastructure's crumbling, and the fixes are always just around the corner, except they never quite seem to arrive. Fucking potholes all over the place. So yeah, I'm pissed off. I'm frustrated with the way things are going, and I'm not afraid to say it. It's time for a reality check. Brooklyn deserves better than to be treated like a playground for the wealthy or a backdrop for political photo ops. We need real leaders who are going to roll up their sleeves and tackle these issues head on, and not just offer empty promises. So stick around, as I'm going to dive into a lot of issues, a lot of shit. I'm here to give you the unvarnished truth to the challenges of the status quo. We'll explore what's going wrong, who's responsible, and what we could do about it. It's time to stop settling for mediocre fixes and start demanding real change. So thanks for tuning in to the first episode of the Brooklynite TV Podcast, where no topic is off limits, no issues too big to tackle. We're about to get deep into this, so stay tuned. We're just getting started. I'm Frank, and thanks for listening.